On a freezing Christmas Eve, when the streets were drowning in lights and laughter and the world carried the scent of warm cinnamon and home, Samuel's heart beat with a heaviness that didn't match the joy around him. He had been walking back from the late shift, exhausted, worn down and carrying the guilt of not being able to buy even a small gift for his 6-year-old son this year. Bills were overdue, groceries were running low, and life had backed him against a wall so tightly that he barely had room to breathe. Yet, nothing in his troubled world compared to the sight he stumbled upon beneath a flickering street lamp, a sight that would shatter him, change him, and test everything he believed about love, sacrifice, and fate. 2 tiny twin girls, no more than 4 years old, curled together on the icy pavement beside an old bus stop, their thin dresses torn, their little faces pale with hunger, and their bodies trembling violently from the cold. Their fragile hands clung to each other as if holding on was the only thread keeping them alive. It was a moment so heartbreaking, so painfully out of place on a night meant for warmth that Samuel froze where he stood, his breath catching in the air. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and humanity still alive in this world, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. It truly helps stories like this reach more hearts. Samuel approached slowly, unsure whether fear or heartbreak controlled his steps. He had seen poverty. He had lived close to it, but never had he witnessed such fragile innocence being suffocated by neglect. The girls were whispering something faintly, their lips quivering, their breath shallow, and their small toes nearly purple. One of them tried to lift her head but didn't have the strength, and Samuel felt something inside him fracture. He had only one coat on, thin but warm enough, and without thinking he knelt, wrapped it around the 2 trembling bodies and tried to shield them from the stabbing cold wind. His mind raced with questions. Where were their parents? Why were they alone? And what kind of pain had pushed children into such a cruel fate? He picked them up gently, feeling how frighteningly light they were, and carried them toward the nearest open shop, hoping to find food or help, but most stores had already closed for Christmas Eve. The world was too busy celebrating to notice 2 starving angels slipping quietly toward darkness. Samuel remembered the one place still worn and lit, his own small apartment where his son Aiden was waiting. He knew they had little, barely enough to survive until next week, but leaving these girls outside was simply not an option. The father in him, the human in him, the man who knew what it meant to struggle, every part of him screamed to save them. When he reached home, Aiden watched curiously as his father carried the sleeping girls inside. The boy's innocent eyes widened with concern, not confusion. Even at 6, Aiden had a heart shaped by hardship, a heart that understood compassion more than comfort. Samuel prepared warm water, found old blankets, and warmed leftover soup on the stove. As he fed the girls spoonfuls of broth and helped them drink, he realized how long they must have gone without food. Their hands clutched the bowl as though they feared it might disappear. Aiden shared his only chocolate piece with them, the one treat Samuel had saved for him. The small gesture made Samuel's eyes sting. As the night deepened and the girls fell asleep wrapped in borrowed warmth, Samuel inspected their clothes. Torn dresses, dirty socks, no coats, no bags, nothing, not even their names. But what struck him the most were faint bruises along their wrists, as if someone had held them too tightly, someone who didn't care, someone who had abandoned them. A knot of anger and pity twisted in Samuel's chest. Children didn't end up alone on Christmas Eve unless something terrible had happened. With no way to identify them, and no emergency services responding quickly on a holiday night, Samuel made a quiet decision. He would watch over them until morning. For now, they were safe. They were warm. They were not alone. The next morning, snow covered the city like a white blanket hiding the world's flaws. The twins woke up slowly, scared at first, holding onto each other, both unsure of where they were. Samuel knelt beside them and reassured them with gentle gestures, offering breakfast. They ate as if every bite mattered. Little by little, they relaxed, their eyes softening. Eventually, one of them lifted a trembling hand and pointed toward Samuel's door, mumbling something. At first, he didn't understand. But when both girls repeated the motion, fear coating their faces, Samuel realized someone might return for them, someone they feared. That thought chilled him more than the winter wind. For 2 days, Samuel cared for the girls, fed them, bathed them, kept them warm while searching for missing child reports, calling shelters, and asking around discreetly. But nothing came up. No one seemed to be looking for 2 tiny twins who had clearly been through pain. Aiden grew attached, treating them like little sisters. The girls followed him everywhere, clinging to his sleeve with the trust. Only children in danger could show the first person who protects them. But on the third morning, everything changed. An elderly neighbor whispered that she'd seen a rough-looking woman wandering around the block at night, shouting angrily about two runaway problems. Samuel's blood ran cold. If that woman truly was their guardian, the girls had escaped something dangerous. He didn't want to believe the worst, but their bruises, hunger, and fear spoke a truth they were too young to voice. Then came the moment that left Samuel stunned. A moment that unraveled a truth he never imagined. While folding the girls' washed clothes, he discovered a hidden note sewn into the lining of one torn dress. It was old, smudged, and written by a trembling hand. The message was short but devastating. It said the twins' mother had died months ago, leaving them in the care of a distant relative, a woman who did not want them and had threatened to get rid of them. The note begged whoever found it to protect the girls because they deserve love and life. It was signed simply, Mother. Samuel sat frozen, the note trembling in his hand. The truth hit him like a blow. These girls had been abandoned on purpose, left outside to starve or freeze, left because someone viewed them as burdens instead of blessings. He felt anger for them, grief for their mother, and a surge of determination he hadn't felt in years. No child deserved this fate. Not tonight. Not ever. Days turned into a week, and Samuel found himself doing more than caring for them. He was bonding, protecting, becoming the father figure they desperately needed. But the more he cared, the more he feared the system might take them away and place them in another unknown situation. His financial struggles weighed heavily on him. Could he handle raising 3 children? Could he provide enough? Would the authorities judge him as unfit because of his poverty? Yet, every time one of the twins hugged him tightly or fell asleep against his shoulder, he realized they already saw him as home. One evening, as snow fell softly outside and the heater hummed weakly in the corner, Samuel watched. All 3 children asleep on the sofa, Aiden in the middle. The twins cuddled on each side. They fit together like pieces of a broken puzzle healing itself. And in that moment, Samuel made a decision rooted in pure, unshakable love. He would fight for them. He would protect them. He would become their father in every way possible, no matter the cost. The legal process was long, complicated, and painfully overwhelming. Social workers doubted him at first, questioning his financial stability and single-parent situation. But Samuel showed persistence, honesty, and a heart bigger than his hardships. He told them the truth: he couldn't offer luxuries, but he could offer unconditional love, safety, and a home where no child would ever be made to feel unwanted. His sincerity moved people. Slowly, things began to shift in his favor. Community members stepped up to help. A local charity offered food support. Neighbors who once barely knew him donated clothes and supplies. The city rallied behind the story of a single father trying to save 2 abandoned girls. Week later, on a quiet winter afternoon, Samuel received the call that made his knees weak. The twins would be placed under his foster care with strong potential for adoption. When he looked at the children playing in the snow outside, their laughter echoing through the courtyard, he felt a warmth deeper than any Christmas fire. He had saved them, but in many ways, they had saved him too. As months passed, the twins blossomed under love. Their fear faded. Their smiles became brighter. They called Samuel Papa one day with innocent certainty, and the sound nearly brought him to tears. Aiden proudly called them his sisters. Their home remained small, their resources limited, but their hearts overflowed with a richness money could never buy. And when next Christmas Eve arrived, Samuel found himself standing at the same street lamp where he had first discovered the twins. But this time, he wasn't alone in despair. He was surrounded by 3 children holding his hands, their eyes glowing with love. Life had taken him through storms, but kindness had brought him home. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support truly helps us bring more emotional, meaningful stories to life.